Hello everyone, I'm Pete O'Farrell.
And I'm Jessica Kurgo. This is your April installment of Walpole News Today. Despite a lengthy 32-article warrant and several standing votes, Springtown Meeting 2023 wrapped up in just one night. Aside from the 10 articles that were placed on a consent agenda, the fiscal year 24 budget, and the typical union contracts, a handful of proposals sparked controversy. Article 18, a petition put forth by the Select Board for authorization to sell 3 town-owned properties, proved to be particularly polarizing. The body ultimately rejected authorization for the town to sell the old Town Hall building and the East Walpole Library, while approving authorization for a vacant lot near the intersections of Kingsbury and Plains Streets. Articles 27 and 28, 2 of the 9 zoning articles proposed, would have allowed for the residential use of 2-family and 3-family housing by right, instead of the current special permit requirement. Several RTMs spoke in favor of the articles, claiming that they would help alleviate issues related to limited housing and support economic development in Walpole. Opponents were concerned that the change would silence abutting residents by eliminating the public hearing process and would place a disproportionate burden on the residents of the general residential zoning district. Both articles would ultimately fail through a standing vote count.
Walpole's comprehensive emergency management plan, which is supposed to be reviewed once a year, hasn't been updated since 2005, according to Emergency Management Director John Lightbody. In his recent update to the Select Board, Lightbody explained that the agency is currently working on an updated plan to submit for input from several other town departments. Walpole's Emergency Management Agency works to prepare the town for weather-related disasters like hurricanes, blizzards, and extreme heat. The department also oversees the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, which is a group of volunteers trained in fire safety, first aid, damage assessment, light search and rescue, and radio communications. Here's more from John Lightbody's update.
This is an all-hazards emergency operation plan. Consists of basic plan and support annex. Basic plan forms the overall framework for emergency management in the town, and the annex provides detailed essential discipline-specific functions. We have received a number of MEMA grants, some of them being competitive grants. With this money so far, some of the things we have purchased: emergency medical supplies, first aid training aids. We're very big into the first aid. We have some high-end mannequins for doing trauma first aid on. We've recently received some emergency response PPE. We've gotten laptops, equipment for our CERT team, equipment and supplies for the emergency operating centers. They have also paid for half the cost of installing safety film on FinCom windows in the other end of the building. That room at some point may be used for an EOC, and really need to get the town ready for a disaster. Nobody in this part of the country believes there's going to be a disaster here, but sooner or later we'll end up with a hurricane or something, so be prepared.
In August of 1955, Hurricanes Connie and Diane swept through the Northeast, dumping up to 25 inches of rain in some areas and causing millions in damages. During a recent Select Board meeting, town engineer Carl Baldoff referenced these archive photos of downtown Walpole in the days following the storms, during his update regarding a draft supplemental watershed agreement to repair the Allen Site Dam. In 2019, Walpole's engineering department entered a cost-sharing program between the town and the United States Department of Agriculture to rehabilitate Allen Dam for modern safety standards and design regulations. Authorized by the Watershed Protection and Flood Prevention Act, the program allows the USDA to provide technical and financial assistance for the rehabilitation of aging dams. In partnership with the USDA consultants, the engineering department hosted 3 public outreach meetings and completed preliminary design work over the last 4 years. Construction is expected to begin in the summer of 2025, and Walpole will be responsible for 35% of what is estimated to be a roughly $5 million repair project.
Allen Dam is off Washington Street near the intersection of Stone, several hundred feet long. built in the early 80s, and it's a flood control. It retains a natural pool of water and retains water of the stormwater from the spring brook. It's 40 years old, and we have to inspect it. It's a high hazard dam. It gets inspected every other year. And the inspections have brought out that it needs some work after these years. The emergency spillway, if you were to look at the dam from Washington Street, is to the right side. There's a gate there that you can go in, and it's an open grass area. That's where the dam would overflow if it was full. And that's going to stay there. They're going to put articulated concrete blocks in it. They considered several alternatives, including removing the dam, which really isn't practical, or otherwise we'd be subject to, what happened in the mid-50s.
We have to have floodwater mitigation, and the Allen Dam, of course, plays a very important role in that. And given the number and severity of storms that we've seen over the last many years, it's becoming increasingly important. So having that dam in good working order and making sure that it's safe so that it plays the role it's supposed to play from a flood mitigation point of view is really critical.
Motion, the Select Board has reviewed the draft supplemental Watershed Plan 01 and environmental assessment and agree with the contents and vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the draft supplemental watershed agreement subject to final review by town's council and provided that the town shall not be obligated to expend any funds unless and until there is a town meeting appropriation therefor.
Seconded.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0-0.
Controversy continues surrounding the town's proposal to construct a 20 by 40 foot pull-off area along North Street for recreational access to Willett Pond. The planning board held a scenic road hearing on April 20th, where residents reiterated concerns surrounding pedestrian safety and traffic congestion on North Street. The plan includes a drop-off location for transporting kayaks and other small boats, a trail to Willett Pond, and the removal of 37 feet of existing stone wall along North Street. The parcel of land is deed restricted from parking, but opponents of the plan are skeptical that no parking signs would be a sufficient deterrent. The Conservation Commission plans to consult with the fire, police, and engineering departments to address ongoing safety concerns. The Planning Board suggested that the proposal go before the Select Board for further insight before voting to continue the scenic road hearing until May 18th. Here's more from that meeting.
This is one of the prettiest plots of land along North Street. It has been, the history of this has been in the Warren family, which did a lot for this town, and their vision was to keep this pristine in the long term. I think that, the stone wall we're talking about is not just rocks. There's the history of our town is very much embedded on this piece of land. I hope that, again, I cheer the Conservation Commission for their acquisition, and we ask just a tweak of this plan to reconsider the turnout.
The reason we bought this land was to revert it exactly as it is now, and we trusted the New England Forestry to do that. I have the right to stay in this house as long as I live, to find out that they sold this land to the town for 1/10 of what we paid for it. To protect it is beyond outrageous to me.
Much easier to launch from Brook Street, so most people will launch from Brook Street. On occasion, you may have someone who wants to launch from this site, and the pull-off will enable them to unload their kayak. In addition, it will allow the Conservation Commission, myself as their agent, and any other departments at hand to monitor the site, to make sure that, trash is picked up, to make sure if there's an event there that it can be quickly get to it, to walk the site, to, put up any signs that we need to. We do have to put signage down by the pond, maybe a bench, just to get to the site easier.
This plan is not presented, as far as I know, been presented to the Select Board.
It hasn't been.
No.
So they got to say, okay, or they may make improvements. Well, where I'm going with this, Jack, is, Landis keeps talking about, the safety. Well, that's going to come up with them,
Right.
especially for the signage, because we don't control signage, we only control trees and walls. And, it's unfortunate, if we had that, we wouldn't be asking some of these questions on what they're looking for. If that was already done and here's what's all been agreed to, we're kind of going off because it's not there.
I'd like to suggest that we not just hope that the Select Board consider that we actually send like a memo kind of outlining our concerns and saying that you know, if the select board is going to go forward with this, we'd like an opportunity to comment on, you know, kind of site plan issues that we see.
At a recent select board meeting, the Walpole Police Department said goodbye to Sergeant James Dole after 37 years of service to the town. Dole has been recognized for his work a handful of times by both the town and the state, and retired as the sitting president of the Massachusetts Police Association. Shortly after, Officer Richard Haber, who joined the force in 2016, was formally recommended for promotion to the rank of sergeant by Chief Kelleher. Here's more from the April 25th meeting.
And I'd be remiss, if you don't mind, if I would just recognize Sergeant Jimmy Dolan, who's retiring at the end of this week after 37 years of service to the law enforcement community, most of which was the town of Walpole. He had a brief stint with Westwood before he transferred here. Jimmy's been involved in a myriad of different things, from the honor guard, detectives, mobile operations, motorcycles. He's done it all. There hasn't been an escort or event that Jimmy hasn't been at since he's been on. So we're certainly grateful for all his service to the department, to the town, and we wish him definitely the best of luck in his retirement. Jimmy's right over there, so I can make sure I'm really embarrassed. Rich joined the department in 2016. He came from South Portland, Maine PD. Graduated from Norwood High School, went on to get his Bachelor of Science degree from UMass Boston in criminal justice, and then later, most recently, his master's degree in CJ, also from UMass Lowell. Rich has kind of had a number of different roles with our department. He does our breath test maintenance, does all of our radio maintenance. He's an instructor with the MPTC in field sobriety, breath test operation. He's a field training officer, drug recognition expert, and he's also a negotiator with the Metrolec SWAT team, which is, I've watched that in action. That's really impressive. So he brings so much to our department. There really isn't anything that we've asked him to do that he hasn't stepped up and done stuff before we even asked him to do. So he's very deserving of this, in my opinion. We had him step up and do some shifts as a supervisor before he was permanently promoted, and he did an exceptional job.
This department has become a second family to me. I've spent many hours, countless hours here, working and striving to continue building our community relations that we obviously as part of who we are as a police department. And being blessed and being given the honor to become a leader within this department, being chosen by the command staff to be in this leadership position is beyond an honor to me, and be the next challenge in my career in advancing within this department. Honestly, I think I speak for everybody who works for this department. We are truly blessed to have this family, this extended family within our department. This is just another step to continue on building relationships and advancing our mission statement and our mission goals for building relationships with our community.
With beautiful weather and plenty of community support, the health department saw a fantastic turnout at Walpole's annual Hazardous Waste Day on Saturday, May 6th. Here's more from that story.
The sun came out and so did many Walpole residents, accepted lining up for the range of household hazardous waste automotive fluids, and televisions, among other hazardous materials. According to the health department, Walpole residents are welcome to request a voucher that permits them to use several other towns' hazardous waste days through the month of November. For Walpole Media, this is Jessica Kurgo.
Walpole's iconic Dog Rock is taking on a new meaning after a spontaneous act of kindness from a local 4-year-old boy. In an interview with Walpole Media, Blake and his mother Kara shared more about how his decision to decorate 2 friends for Dog Rock inspired a new community initiative. Here's more on that story. Walpole's iconic Dog Rock is the focal point of a budding community initiative after a spontaneous act of kindness from 6-year-old Blake of Norwood.
Because I wanted to have the Dog Rocks have friends and a lot of people, and they can look so cute. And now there's flowers around the Dog Rock because they put flowers around, and I really liked it, and I want to drive by the Dog Rocks again.
For decades, the beloved Plimpton Street landmark has greeted passers-by like Blake and his mother Kara from the corner of a bend in the two-way street. One day, Kara explained in a post on a community Facebook page, Blake wondered if Dog Rock might be lonely. so they decided to paint a couple of friends.
You know, growing up next in the town next door, we drive by and see it. And like I said, during COVID, you know, the mask was painted on it. And he loves to drive by it. It's always, can we drive by the dog rock? And he just one day was like, you know, how come there's only one? And I said, I don't know. And he asked if we could make little friends. And so one rainy Saturday afternoon, we just sat and painted some rocks, and he was excited and he was happy.
The post was met with overwhelming support and enthusiasm, and even prompted a response from Walpole resident Joey Dugdale, who has worked to maintain Dog Rock for roughly 20 years. Kara says Blake's Rocks helped inspire an idea to use Dog Rock as a collection spot, where people can leave small rocks decorated with messages of kindness for others to take and leave in different locations.
The guy who originally painted it reached out to me and said that it inspired him. He's going to be painting a lot of smaller rocks so that people can actually take them and kind of, I guess, be like friendship rocks.
One of Dog Rock's two friends appears to have been taken at some point since it was left, and who knows, maybe someone, someday, will find the rock somewhere unexpectedly and it can bring a smile to their face. Either way, Kara hopes Blake's action can spark a continual message throughout the community to always treat others with kindness.
I want to say something about bullying, that like kids need, you know, teaching them that everybody needs friends. And because I just feel like there's so much bullying. Like I have a lot of friends with kids that are like in high school. You know, I'm raising him to be, you know, cautious and caring towards other people, and that, you know, friends are important, and, you know, just show him that compassion and kindness can take you places in life.
It's my favorite part of the show. It's time to send it over to downtown Rick Brown
to check in on how spring sports are doing at Walpole High School.
Thank you, Jessica and Pete. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the ships at sea. My name is Rick Brown, your voice of Walpole High Sports, with a roundup of first month of spring sports activities here at Walpole High School. Dodging raindrops and some frigid afternoons, spring sports athletes continue to represent Walpole very successfully. After losing their season opening game at Abington, the WHS softball team has rolled to 9 straight victories and stands atop the Herget Division standings of the Bay State Conference. Sophomore Charlotte Stasinski has been pretty incredible on the mound. Stasinski has already thrown 2 no-hitters this year and missed a perfect game in one of those by allowing a single walk. In 2 different games, the hard-throwing pitcher has struck out 15 batters. 6 of Walpole's 9 wins have come by way of the 10-run slaughter rule. Coach Rachel Sprague's squad is 8th at the latest MIAA Division II power rankings. Brookie Arena's .542 batting average tops the team, just ahead of Abby Kearns' .448 and Sienna Cruz's .438. A 5-game losing streak before back-to-back victories over Brookline and Mansfield have dropped the Timberwolf baseball team to 6-7 overall in a number 24 power ranking in Division I. With a 10-2 record, the girls lacrosse is ranked 5th in D1's power rankings. Senior co-captain Bridget Welch holds a slight lead in the scoring race with 40 goals and 29 assists for 69 points. Sophomore Caitlin Naughton is right behind with the team tops 59 lamplighters and 8 helpers for 67 points. Sophia Frucci, another 10th grader, is 3rd with 45 points on 36 goals and 9 assists. Junior goalkeeper Abby Johnson has allowed 93 goals, while her teammates have scored 179. The boys lacrosse team is holding down the 9th spot in D2 power rankings with a 7-4 record. Sophomore Braden Matera and junior Jake Lania continue to pace the Timberwolves in scoring. Having lost 4 of 5 last year's top 7 players, Herget Division Championship team, boys tennis is still ranked 12th in Division II with a 6-4 record. Walpole's captains are Will McClellan and Marcus Gutowski. Doubles have been the strongest part for the Orange and Blue, amassing a 13-5 record. Girls tennis is just outside qualifying for postseason play in 34th place in the D2 power rankings with a 4-6 mark. The last regular season games will be played the final week of May, with the MIAA tournaments beginning after Memorial Day. As a result of the regular season successes of WHS teams during the winter season, a couple of Timberwolf student athletes were recently named to the Boston Globe All-Scholastic teams. Senior co-captain Jason Finkelstein was named to the All-Scholastic team for his outstanding play for the boys hockey team. Izzy Adams, a sophomore, got the same honors for her performance on the girls basketball team. Remember, folks, the weather's finally getting better and the seniors are out of school shortly. Cheering on your fellow classmates is like having an extra player in the team. So get out to some of these spring season games and cheer loud and strong. This is Rick Brown signing off. I'll see you again next month.
That's all for this month. If you liked today's show, please consider supporting Walpole Media by hitting the like button and subscribing to our YouTube channel.
And feel free to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Walpole News Today, I'm Jessica Kurgo.
And I'm Pete O'Farrell. We will see you next time.